We now move to business statement. Leader of the House, Penny Mordaunt.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Further to my business statement last night, to confirm the business for the House today, business is expected as follows. Consideration of a business of the House motion, followed by remaining stages of the Finance No. 2 bill, followed by, if necessary, consideration of a Lord's message to the Digital Markets, Competition and Consumers Bill, followed by consideration of Lord's amendments to the Post Office Horizon System Offences Bill, followed by, if necessary, consideration of any further Lord's messages. The business for tomorrow, Friday the 24th of May, will include, if necessary, consideration of Lord's messages, followed by consideration of Lord's amendments to the Victims and Prisoners Bill, followed by a debate on a motion to approve the draft sanctions EU exit miscellaneous amendments and revocations regulations 2024, followed by an opportunity for matters to be raised ahead of the forthcoming dissolution to allow for valedictory speeches by members of Parliament, followed by, if necessary, consideration of Lord's messages. The House will prorogue following a message from the Lord's Commissioners.
Shadow Leader of the House, Lucy Powell.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'd like to start by expressing my huge admiration to the Honourable Member for South Thanet for returning here after his unimaginable and life-changing illness. As he joked, he broke all the rules, and we were only too happy to reciprocate with the whole House giving him a standing ovation. It was a fitting and moving moment. Cheekily, may I also take this opportunity to congratulate my club, the club that I also represent, Manchester City, on winning the Premier League for a historic fourth time in a row. Saturday's FA Cup final will be the only day that I'm supporting the Blues, not the Reds, for the next few weeks. This week also marked the 7th anniversary of the Manchester Arena attack. It is a day Mancunians will never forget, and we remember those who died, who were injured or were still affected. The Prime Minister yesterday promised Figan Murray, mother of Martin Hett, killed in that attack, that Martin's Law would be introduced before the summer recess. Regrettably, that now seems unlikely, but I hope whoever is returned after the election can bring in Martin's Law as soon as possible. Yesterday came as a surprise. Despite it being drowned out by things can only get better, we hear the real reason the Prime Minister called the election is because he thinks things will only get worse for him. Yeah. His abrupt dissolution of Parliament means that he'll start the campaign, leaving many government commitments and bills up in the air or in the bin. His pledge on a smoke-free generation, plans for a football regulator, promises to renters and leaseholders, and protections for our broadcasters, now all at risk. I'm pleased that very important commitments to the victims of the Post Office and infected blood scandals will be honoured in our final business this week. This is going to be a change election, but change comes sooner than expected for members standing down. I won't mention them all here because I know we'll have the opportunity for valedictory speeches tomorrow, but there are a few I did want to mention today. On this side, the Right Honourable Member for Camberwell and Peckham, the mother of the House, but also the political mum to many of us. She's done so much for women and to bring about change. And the Great Dames, one of which is you, Madam Deputy Speaker. You've been a great friend to me and a wonderful parliamentarian over many, many years. And the Right Honourable Member for Derby South and the Right Honourable Member for Barking. Powerful and highly respected women who've made a big and lasting impact. And the wonderful and popular members for Westminster North, Halifax and Caerphilly, who will be greatly missed. And despite a T-shirt I wore recently, I do have a number of friends on the benches opposite. The Right Honourable Member for Harlow, who was an outstanding chair of the Education Select Committee we served together, with whom I share a mutual enjoyment for Love Island. The honourable members for Broxbourne and the honourable member for Cities of London and Westminster, both of whom I have a great deal of respect for, having worked alongside them on the House of Commons Commission. And the member for Chatham and Aylesford for all she's done on football regulation. And the member for Pudsey, who I feel needs to be found a seat fairly soon for his great work on that issue too. And Madam Deputy Speaker, I would also like to take this opportunity to wish the leader well. She's perhaps best known for carrying a sword, but in this place she's highly regarded. She's been a formidable opponent, and I shall miss our weekly exchanges. I'm not sure that the member for Edinburgh North and Leith will miss them quite so much. I probably won't miss some of her more tortured metaphors, if I may say, but I hope she has the chance to install that new boiler, get herself a decorator crab, and has some time to put, these are her own metaphors, and has some time to put clothes on her action toy Ken, who of course has no balls. Those of you here would remember that one well. At least the election will give her ample opportunity to stand up and fight. But we'll be campaigning ferociously for different outcomes at this election. But whatever happens, I want to thank her for her cooperation and collaboration, making me raise my game in this place and reminding me how important a good blow-dry is on these occasions, Madam Deputy Speaker. Finally, whilst this place will be quieter in the coming weeks, I know that a lot of work is going on behind the scenes by the hard-working House staff to prepare. I know the clerk and his staff teams, I would like to thank them in advance. And I'd also like to thank Liam Lawrence-Smith for his decades of service to this House. Until next time, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Leader of the House.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And can I start by sending you and all members who are retiring from this place my good wishes and thanks for your service and your friendship. Many of the honourable and right honourable members, the honourable lady spoke about, I consider us all to be hairdresser buddies in this place, and I wish everyone good luck for the next chapter. While today's headlines are focused on Westminster and a forthcoming election, I would like to take this opportunity to reassure people that all of us here, especially those who hold ministerial office, will also remain focused elsewhere too. Yesterday I met with some of the families of those still held hostage in Gaza, the families of Eli Sharabi and the late Yossi Sharabi, whose body is still held by Hamas, Nama Levy, Olon Ohel, Yea and Etan Horn, Ivatar David and Guy Gabola Dalal. Our thoughts and focus will continue to be on them and all others who need our attention during this election period. Can I also echo the remarks that the Honourable Lady has made with regard to the Manchester Arena bombing? She will know that matters such as Martin's Law, which is a brilliant initiative, will be part of the wash-up process, and I hope to be able to update the House in the coming day. Madam Deputy Speaker, as this is the last business questions of Parliament, can I just place on record my thanks to all those who work at the House, the legislative, drafting and parliamentary teams and my officials. Their professionalism throughout two very demanding and record-breaking legislative programmes has been exemplary. Thanks to my fellow cast members for business questions, my opposite numbers and commissioners and their respective parties, and all those who have shown up each week to do their duty, none more so than the honourable member for Strangford. Could I also thank the clerks and staff of the Privy Council? It has been a huge honour to have been able to assist His Majesty the King and the royal household through the loss of the late Queen Elizabeth II, and to support His Majesty during the early time as our sovereign. I'm very proud of him and our royal family. They and the service that surrounds them are a reflection of the best of us. Which brings me to another group I must thank. We have had the good news this week that inflation is down to 2.3%. This means that the cost of fuel, food and housing is beginning to stabilise, and we can all plan ahead with much more confidence. And it is the British people who we have to thank for this. This is their achievement. We are the first major country to defeat inflation, and we have done better than our neighbours. And I want to remind us all why we have done so. It is because we are an experienced, determined, dynamic and innovative economy and country. We have made tough decisions and made the changes needed, and we took the consequences, and it came good. Thank you to everyone that tightened their belt and worked hard, for your stoicism in the face of war in Europe, global shocks and the legacy of COVID. Thank you to the public servants who knew that pay rises needed to be sustainable and kept services going. Thanks to business leaders who put in place efficiencies, did more with less, who motivated and retained staff, and who continued to grow their ventures. The public had many concerns, but chief among them was the cost of living. And that is why this good economic news this week is so welcome. And it shows that when we work together, all is possible. I want to give my assurance to the victims of the infected blood scandal that this government stands by the commitments made earlier this week. There is a clear desire across the House to ensure that legislation to compensate those who have been infected and affected as a result of this scandal is passed, and it will be done so on a cross-party basis. Today, the Lords will consider third reading of the Victims and Prisoners Bill, and tomorrow this House will consider Lords' amendments to the bill, which will establish the compensation scheme within 3 months of the bill receiving royal assent. I want to make those same assurances to those individuals who are victim of the Horizon Post Office scandal too. This House will consider Lords' amendments to the Post Office Offences Bill today, and I want to give this government's commitment to those victims that, subject to the agreement of both houses, which I'm sure we will receive, the legislation to quash the convictions of those sentenced will be secured before the House prorogues. If I can deviate from my script briefly, we will not leave this place till we have done our duty by those people. Other bills are going through discussions about the remaining business, which will be done on a cross-party basis, and it's common practice during wash-up that negotiations will be ongoing, and we will hope to update the House on further business. Madam Deputy Speaker, the Honourable Lady talks about the election, and democracy is an opportunity. It is an opportunity to think about what we want our nation to be in the next decade and the decades to come. The UK has been through tough times, but the choices we have made collectively have given ourselves the freedom to be ambitious, both at home and abroad. The Chancellor's statement this week is testament to that, which is why the next few weeks so much is at stake. We on this side of the House are undoubtedly the underdog in this fight. But I go into this election, and I will be standing up and fighting, filled with optimism and hope because, Madam Deputy Speaker, I am proud of our record, from soaring literacy rates to halving crime. I'm proud of my colleagues, none more so than the Honourable Member for Thanet South. I am proud of my party and its mission to encourage and reward people who take responsibility, and I have always been proud of our country. The Honourable Lady opposite and her leader are at a disadvantage as they go into this fight because they are not proud of Labour's record. They are trying to disown it. The Labour leader has been distancing himself from his own MPs and candidates, the anti-business, anti-Israel, anti-opportunity, anti-responsibility, Britain-bashing brigade that sit on the benches opposite. It says much about her party that its sole campaign narrative is that the Labour Party are not really the Labour Party at all. But recognising you at odds with the values of this nation is not the same as being supportive of them. The public have been angry at us because of what we have had to deal with and because we have put the country first. But the question is, will that red mist blind them to what is on offer under the red flag? The burdens on business, Britain being tied back into the EU's regulatory straitjacket, the undermining of NATO through an EU defence pact the undermining of our border through an EU migration pact, higher taxes, less disposable income, and the wrecking ball that would be taken to our constitution, and the cuts to the NHS budget Labour have so viciously done in Wales. The fact is that nothing matters more to the Labour Party than the interests of the Labour Party and their paymasters. Ruthless socialists led by a weak and unformed leader. In 6 weeks' time, we will know the answer from the British people. We Conservatives may be the underdog, but we are on the right side, and that is on the side of the British people. Further business will not be announced in the usual way.
Father of the House, Sir Peter Bottomley.
Can I thank the Leader of the House and her opposition counterparts for agreeing to get through the changes for the infected blood compensation for the convictions of sub-postmasters and others. Can I note that we have not heard that the leasehold reform bill can be brought forward? I hope that if it can be done, that would be greatly welcomed. If it's not, I hope to be back here in 6 weeks' time to make sure we campaign for it, because like many of the MPs who are standing again and many who are not, most of our national campaigns come from the experience of a constituent or a friend or a member of our family. And I think translating what is individual, what is local, to what's national and important is part of our role here. And can I also join with both the front bench speakers, through you, Madam Deputy Speaker, thanking all the staff who have supported us and all those who, while we are away getting more exercise, will be making this place ready for our return. Thank you.
Leader of the House.
I thank my right honourable friend for his question and for his consistent appearances at business questions. He will know, although there is a lot of speculation about the legislative programme, that the negotiations are still ongoing with the opposition parties, but I hope to update the House soon with regard to the bill he mentions and further bills.
SNP spokesperson Deidre Brock.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. There are just so many things I could ask the Leader about today. I do know that tributes will be paid by my honourable friend to members from these benches who will be standing down later. But yesterday, I experienced another moment this week that I will never forget, along with a statement from Sir Brian Langstaff. I was sitting in a room with infected blood survivors and families as the news sunk in that just days after a rightly repentant statement to Parliament, her Prime Minister had decided to throw a snap election. Now, I know the Right Honourable Member for Kingston Hull North will be raising specifics with her, but will she give at the House a guarantee now that the concerns the infected and affected have that arose from the Paymaster General's statement on Tuesday about issues like the continuation of support schemes will be addressed and taken forward? Could I also remind her of the offer she made to arrange a ministerial meeting to the CEO of the Cold Chain Federation, at least, so he can discuss that Brexit chaos at our borders after the week's NAO report into the £5 billion bill for Brexit border charges. That offer of a meeting between him and an appropriate minister couldn't be more timely. But given the general reluctance to talk about Brexit chaos, perhaps we could ask for a statement tomorrow on the legacy of 14 years of Tory chaos as this government stutters to its end. What a list to choose from. English rivers so filthy, the Chief Medical Officer warns people to not even paddle in them. Or endless strikes in the NHS in England, with nurses using food banks to feed their families. National debt at over £2 trillion, the highest personal tax burden since 1948. Mortgages doubled or trebled virtually overnight thanks to Tory incompetence. Perhaps the multi-billion-pound scandals of HS2, Ajax tanks, or of course dodgy PPE COVID contracts. We could debate alternatives, but with Labour meekly accepting £18 billion in public service cuts, junking its £28 billion green spending promise, and carrying on with the Brexit chaos, you won't find changes on the Labour benches. If this place ever looked to Scotland, Madam Deputy Speaker, for inspiration instead, I could happily discuss, for example, the benefits of having a water service owned by the people. where profits aren't flying into the hands of shareholders, the Scottish NHS, where there are no strikes, or a government that protects its citizens and mitigates against the cost of living service. I have only just scratched the surface, Madam Deputy Speaker, but I am aware I am time limited, like this government. So lastly, may I pay a genuine tribute to the enormous help the leader has been to the cause of Scottish independence, and wish her very well in her next career, whatever her future brings.
Leader of the House.
Well, thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Well, it's going to be a fun 6 weeks, I think. First of all, can I join her in paying tribute to her colleagues who will be standing down at this election. And also pay tribute to the Honourable Lady, who I admire greatly. Rather like Monty Python's Black Knight, she returns every week with no discernible loss of enthusiasm, threatening to bite my legs off. And her resilience in the midst of the implosion of her own party has been impressive. And if I may gently say to her, I think that's a rather British quality. I'm glad. I don't know what she says about the cause of independence. I think the polls say that is losing considerable support. But I have to say our weekly exchanges have certainly gone down well with the Scottish Unionist contingent, and I think that what they will do. Given that this will be our last exchange, I do not know. I don't know where to start with her list this week, but let me content myself with just 2 points. First of all, I will say it to you again that we are growing faster than the Eurozone. Our exports are at a record high, and I hope that during the 6 weeks and the debates she will no doubt have, she will learn more about the trajectory that our nation is on and the newfound freedoms that they have, and congratulate businesses in Scotland, whether they be goods or whether they be services, for how they are capitalising on that. And I would also just gently remind her that when the Scottish NHS was struggling, it was this government that offered support to it, and the Scottish government turned down that support, turned down additional help for Scottish citizens to get treated on the NHS for political reasons. I think that is something that it's not just about the Honourable Lady's party's record, it's about their political dogma and their approach to the single issue that they care about above all else, including the well-being of their citizens. I thank the Honourable Lady and I wish her good luck in the following weeks.
Sir Charles Walker.
Madam Deputy Speaker, thank you for calling me. This is the last time I shall rise to speak in this greatest of all legislative chambers. You've been a great friend, Madam Deputy Speaker, full of advice and support. Madam Deputy Speaker, we are here not to build a legacy, we're here to get stuff done. And in that spirit, I would like to ask the Leader of the House to lend me her support. As you know, Madam Deputy Speaker, I chair the Country Food Trust. We work with over 1,000 food banks to bring pre-packed venison to hungry people. We've been working tirelessly with fantastic officials in DEFRA and ministers to get the deer management strategy launched. We are moments away from doing it, but we find ourselves in the wash-up. Please, please, can I ask the Leader of the House to put her shoulder to the wheel and get this management strategy over the line. It will feed hungry people and it will save our woodlands. And with that, Madam Deputy Speaker, can I just thank Alison, Hugh, Zoe and Martin, who have been my principal clerks over my 12 years as a Select Committee Chair. And that is it. Good afternoon, thank you and goodbye.
Leader of the House.
Well, I'm glad that the Right Honourable Gentleman came into this session of business questions, because we all owe him a huge debt of gratitude that the public may not know, but the Right Honourable Gentleman has worked behind the scenes to ensure that MPs are supported, can do their jobs well, and he has introduced many new positive initiatives to take this place into the modern world, not least ensuring that when new members of Parliament come in the next Parliament, alongside their parliamentary career, they can gain qualifications that will enable them to go on and have good careers after being in this place. And I thank him on behalf of us all for his diligence and his care for all of us. I think the least I can do, given that stellar record, is put my shoulder to the wheel and ensure that the Country Food Trust and the deer management strategy is taken care of. And although I can't tell him the outcome, I shall certainly make sure that his case is made.
Chair of the Backbench Business Committee, Iain Mearns.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. One of the consequences of holding a snap general election is that many backbench debates that we had on the list and which were scheduled for the forthcoming weeks have had to be put to one side. We have 14 debates which were on our list and which had already been scheduled for both Westminster Hall and for here in the Chamber in forthcoming weeks. So we've written to the successor chair of the committee, whoever that may be, after the general election, and to yourself, Leader of the House, so that you can actually act on it or pass on that note in a draw, if you like, to whoever succeeds you, to suggest, that these subjects might be taken in time before the successor committee is established after the election in the new Parliament. So with that, Madam Deputy Speaker, I will sit down and say, can I thank all of the clerks that I've had in the Backbench Business Committee. Nick Taylor has been my most recent one. Jim Davey, who used to work in the Speaker's office, has been assisting him. But many, many more have gone on to do great things within the clerking service of this House, having served as the clerk of the Backbench Business Committee. And with that, Madam Deputy Speaker, I sit down as I, like yourself, I'm retiring.
Well, can I first start by thanking the Honourable Gentleman for all that he has done as a fantastic chair of the Backbench Business Committee. He's been diligent, he's brought in new innovations, and he's been a great addition to business questions every single week. And I want to thank him sincerely for all he has done and wish him all the best in the future. I'm sorry that those who had debates scheduled will not be having him, and in whatever capacity I can, I shall ensure a good facilitation between his tenure and the new tenure of the Backbench Committee.
So Iain Duncan Smith.
Madam Deputy Speaker, can I thank you for all of your service, and we've known each other for a considerable amount of time, perhaps too long. But as I said, this is not a valedictory speech on my part, because I intend to stand and come back here on my own accord. But I wish you very well and a very happy future. Can I say to my right honourable friend, I'm very saddened to find that I wasn't asked to be a member of the hairdressing club that she... I simply cannot understand why that was not the case. But as I wasn't, I would like to raise a couple of matters with her nonetheless. This whole sudden election has meant that two very important things that were passed into the Criminal Justice Bill by unanimous consent the other day. One was the Cuckooing Amendment, which will ensure that people who are under threat, have their households taken, and where crime is run from, that would be stopped. That would be an offence. That is going to fall. And the second one, which by unanimous consent, was the dangerous cycling legislation to bring cyclists within the criminal justice system and the highway code. That was utterly unanimous, and that will fall. There was no opposition anywhere in the country, and I wonder if she could take forward those to discuss with everybody. I don't know whether it's feasible, but somehow if those could get through in the wash-up just as they are, I ask that question. The last question I want to say is, could she also clarify that I have a hospital which is literally being signed off this coming week for the start of the bill, which my constituents have fought for literally for over 50 years. I wonder whether or not we could look at, considering these are not ministerial sign-offs, but they're just simple sign-offs by officials, whether work that was ready to go could start anyway, and I wonder if she could check that out for us as well.
Leader of the House.
Well, can I thank my right honourable friend for raising these very important matters. He was right, those two measures were unanimously supported, huge support across the House, and I will certainly make sure that those that are, all that are involved in the wash-up process have heard what he has said today. And I will also send to his office some advice about ongoing work and the status of it and whether it can continue through the next few weeks.
Dame Diana Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And can I also pay tribute to you? I think you're a class act. And can I also thank the Leader of the House in all her work to deliver on the infected blood report, the apology and the statement this week on compensation. And I do take some comfort from what she said about the Victims and Prisoners Bill. I hope very much that we will see in the wash-up that bill turned into law, particularly because it establishes the compensation authority to start to pay out compensation, and it also has a clause in it around interim payments for those who've never received a penny, the parents who lost children and the children who lost parents. I noted that the leader said that, and I quote her, "We will not leave this place until we have done our duty." I just asked the leader whether she might put her shoulder to the wheel on one last thing, which is lobbying her colleagues to ensure that those infected and affected who are now entering into a period of engagement with Sir Robert Francis to look at the detail of the compensation scheme that's been put forward, have access to lawyers and legal representation. This is a complicated matter. People are rightly concerned, they want to get this right, they want to engage, but they also need to have professional legal advice to be able to do that effectively, and I wondered whether the leader might be able to help with that.
Well, can I first of all start by thanking the Honourable Lady for the incredible work she has done on the infected blood issue, as well as helping on a number of occasions getting important things to happen. She has been in communication with enormous numbers of people infected and affected by this, and has given them confidence and comfort in the ordeal that they have gone through, and I know that the whole House thinks that of the Honourable Lady. I hope that my words at the dispatch box have given assurances to those people. I'm very conscious that, having heard those statements on Monday, people will want to know that this will be delivered this week. And I think also with regard to interim payments and also support schemes, which the Honourable Lady on the SNP benches mentions, those things and that work will continue, and the support schemes will, as the Paymaster General say, run into next week. I will certainly make sure that she gets an update this afternoon with regard to the specific issue she raises, but I would also remind her that Sir Robert Francis, when he started the compensation study, part of that initial process was ensuring, even when the terms of reference were being set, that those infected and affected had access to legal representation in that. And I don't think that Sir Robert Francis would want to progress in any other way than that. But I will get an answer for the Honourable Lady with regard to the specifics.
Theresa Villiers.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I wish you well for the future. I would like to ask the Leader of the House if we can find time for a debate in these final days of this Parliament on protecting the Greenbelt. Not only does it protect communities like Barnet from urban sprawl, but it provides vital space for nature and habitats. And nature recovery and conservation is something I've championed throughout my time in this Parliament, and I want the opportunity to reiterate my strong commitment to that crucial environmental goal.
Well, can I thank my right honourable friend for all the work that she does in this area. We Conservatives will always take care of rural areas and protect the green belt. And our revised national planning policy framework makes it clear that we have protection for the green belt. And we've also, of course, provided hundreds of millions to encourage development on brownfield land instead of green belt, including the £550 million Brownfield Housing Fund and the £180 million Brownfield Land Release Fund. Can I take this opportunity to thank her for this important work, not just in her own constituency, but also around the country too.
Owen Thompson.
Madam Deputy Speaker, and I would join others in wishing you all the very best for whatever comes next. But as we've obviously had an election called now, and it's not really given a lot of time for members to be able to make arrangements to be here tomorrow for those who are standing down, if I could ask the Leader of the House if she would join me in thanking and welcoming the contribution made by my colleagues, the honourable members for Paisley and Renfrewshire South, for Falkirk, Glasgow North, Lanark and Hamilton East, Glenrothes, Central Ayrshire, and my Dunfermline and West Fife, and my right honourable friends from Roskilde and Lochaber, and right honourable friend from Dundee East. They've all contributed so much to this place, but far beyond that, the amount they've contributed to our party and the independence movement over a significant amount of time, their efforts have all gone to great good, and I have no doubt all of them will continue to do so.
Leader of the House.
Well, can I thank the honourable gentleman for using this business question sessions to get on record his thanks and appreciation to all of his colleagues. I wish them all well, and I thank them for their service to this House.
Sir Julian Lewis.
Thank you for your service to this House, Madam Deputy Speaker, and may I place on the record my tribute to the Director and staff of the Intelligence and Security Committee for their outstanding dedication and commitment to an area that is particularly important in this difficult and dangerous international environment. May I thank them for the work they've done on preparing comprehensive annual reports and specialist studies on extreme right-wing terrorism, on the UK's international intelligence partnerships, and a very well-received report on China, with a similar one on Iran to follow as soon as the redaction process is complete. May I just bring to the Leader of the House's attention the fact that the committee has resolved that it will no longer be under the aegis of the Cabinet Office because the basic conflict of interest has become unsustainable, whereby a committee that oversees bodies that are housed in a department is itself having its staff's career in the hands of the people in that very same department. And finally, may I thank the members of the committee from all three parties and both houses who kept to the tradition of leaving party politics at the door, and despite an unpromising start when an attempt was made to do away with that important principle, came together and have shown complete unanimity and dedication to carrying out the work of the committee, which is necessarily not done in the public view.
Leader of the House.
Well, I'm sure the whole House would join with my right honourable friend in thanking all who are enabling this very important committee to carry out its work. It is unseen work, but it is absolutely vital, and I thank him also for the outputs and those important reports which will, I think, strengthen our democracy and protect this nation from those that would do us harm. Can I also thank him for ensuring that the committee can remain properly independent, and that he has safeguarded that with this new innovation.
Catherine West.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. And whilst we welcome the forthcoming election, long-awaited bills on smoking, on leasehold, on desperately needed renter reform legislation and football governance will all fall. Isn't that somewhat breaking a promise made in 2019?
Leader of the House.
The motion that I will bring forward shortly will give us flexibility to do all that is required and put through all that is required before the end of this session. She will know that the wash-up negotiations are still going on, so I can't say at the moment exactly which bills will be in or not, but we need cross-party support at this stage of the Parliament to get this legislation through, and I will do all I can to make sure that bills which are supported are in that final wash-up.
Sir William Cash.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, for your own service and for my last contribution in this House over 40 years, and also to thank the staff in the House and on my European Select Committee, which I've had the honour to chair since 2010, and also all members of the House from whatever stripe for all their massive contribution to our democracy in this great Parliament. As to a specific question, namely the UK sovereignty in Gibraltar, which my committee is looking at the moment, the UK-EU treaty, which is now under negotiation and on which the Foreign Secretary appeared before us the other day, deals with vital UK defence and Schengen border issues, which cause us great concern. Has my right honourable friend appreciated and been made aware that the Constitution of Gibraltar, including Article 47 with Section 38 of the Withdrawal Agreement Act 2020, sets out specific UK sovereignty reservations in that Constitution as to external affairs, defence, internal security and the functions of the Secretary of State for Defence, and none of these must be compromised.
Well, can I first of all thank my right honourable friend for his decades of service to this House and the country. The work that his committee has done in particular is considerable. I remember that I served on it briefly for about 3 years, and the first session that we had, I had to have a trolley in order to get the papers for that meeting to the relevant committee room. It is a huge amount of work, and we have been enormously helped by the right honourable gentleman's attention to detail and huge expertise in this area. On many of these highly technical issues, he often turns out to be right, and I am aware of the issue, the specific issue that he raises, and have raised my interest with the relevant departments. He leaves a great legacy in this place, and whatever the future holds, I am assured that these issues that he cares very deeply about, and of course, in large regard to his efforts, we now have opportunities and freedoms to exploit and enjoy and protect the interests of this country. Those issues will be in good hands, and that is largely down to him.
Kirsten Oswald.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. I have been contacted today by Action on Smoking and Health, who do very important work on curbing the harms of smoking and vaping. Like me, they're perplexed and very disappointed that it appears the tobacco and vapes bill will not now progress because it's not included in the wash-up. I shouldn't be surprised that they also appear to have abandoned the commitment they gave me last week on banning vape advertising in sport. Now, the Prime Minister stood in Downing Street yesterday and trumpeted this bill as his legacy, but that's absolute nonsense, isn't it, if it's been abandoned? So on the tobacco and vapes bill, can she bring pressure to bear? There's the potential here to stop the terrible devastation that tobacco causes, to curb the damage vapes are doing to our environment and our young people. Will she do what's necessary to add it to the wash-up?
Leader of the House.
Well, I thank the honourable lady for raising this matter. I know this bill was supported by a large number of people in the House. It is clearly something that the Prime Minister also feels very passionately about, and I will make sure that what she has said today and what others have said is taken into account during the wash-up process, and I hope the House will be updated soon.
Sir Edward Lee.
When my right honourable friend is promoted to an even bigger job in the Cabinet after the election, will she leave a note on her desk for her successor? Unlike a previous note, it won't say there's no more money or anything like that. It will concern restoration and renewal. She'll know that I'm her representative on the programme board, And frankly, for too long, we've wasted time on endless sterile debates on whether we should decamp or not. Now, under her leadership, the Programme Board and the Commission is now promoting the idea of enhanced maintenance around us. Can she confirm that we can get on with this work? We don't need a new Act of Parliament. And the real threat to this building is fire. We have a responsibility to future generations. We have to get on with this work and do it now.
Well, can I thank my right honourable friend for all the work he has done on the Programme Board, but also under previous governance structures as well, in championing a pragmatic approach to restoration and renewal. There's obviously a huge amount that needs to be done in future years, but we can also get on with things now. And one of the products of the Programme Board on which he served is we do have those projects which we can be doing now, and also increasing our knowledge about how to approach these projects on the estate. All the options in front of the House are much more pragmatic. They're based in a realistic time frame, and I think will give people confidence, not least the British taxpayer, about the future.
Iain Byrne.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I also wish you well in the future. On the 6th of December last year, the Secretary of State for Justice stood at the dispatch box and promised this House a debate on the government's response to the Bishop James Jones's report entitled The Patronising Disposition of Unaccountable Power to ensure the pain and suffering of the Hillsborough families is not repeated. The House had to wait 7 years for the government to respond, and it's then failed to hold the debate it promised us in the new year. Would the Leader of the House convey to the Prime Minister and the Secretary of State the deep disappointment this has caused to the families and survivors of the Hillsborough disaster, and hope in the next Parliament we will finally see a full Hillsborough law put on a statute book in this country, in this House?
Well, can I thank the honourable gentleman for raising this very important point. He has got that on record. I will make sure that relevant departments have heard what he has said.
Sarah Brickliff.
Madam Deputy Speaker, and can I say I also want to pay tribute to you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I am sure you will be missed by many in this House. Back in 2019, it was the honour to be able to come to this place and represent Hyndburn and Haslingden, really pushing forward the government's levelling up agenda. And since then, we've seen over £55 million of levelling up funding. We've got a banking hub coming to Great Harwood, schools rebuild programmes in Haslingden, and funding for Haslingden Market. So does the Leader of the House agree that making sure that we prioritise investment in northern towns needs to continue to be a priority so that we truly level up the north of England?
Leader of the House.
Well, can I congratulate my honourable friend on all her hard work and achievements for her constituents. I have visited her constituency, and I know that it is appreciated by many, many people that she represents. She is absolutely right, and she has fought for those things that are going to make the biggest difference to her constituents, and I congratulate her for it.
Chris Webb.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Shocking figures announced yesterday showed there was a 416% increase in weapon and knife crime in Blackpool. That's the fourth largest increase in the country. Violent crime has doubled, and public order offences are up nearly 500%, with neighbourhood policing cut a drastic 33% in my area. What will the government be doing to rebuild community neighbourhood policing in Blackpool and tackle this huge knife crime issue we have?
Leader of the House.
Well, can I thank the honourable gentleman for raising this very important matter. Knife crime devastates lives, and we now have some of the toughest laws in the world to tackle it, with bans on particular knives, and also just huge experience and effort taken by our local police. Since 2019, we've taken 138,000 weapons off our streets, and we've seen violent crime falling by 44% since we took office in 2010. But there are pockets where this is still a huge issue. I would also commend the work that the voluntary sector is doing on this, the Knife Angel, but many other groups as well, and of course many of them led by people who have been victims or families of people who've been victims to knife crime. I will make sure that the Home Office have heard what he has raised today.
Sir John Hayes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I endorse the thanks to you, Mr. Speaker, and the deputies. In the spirit of conviviality and equanimity that has prevailed, and knowing from experience that members across this House are here because they want to do the best for their constituents, can I, in the national interest, therefore urge the Leader of the House, even at this late stage, to arrange an urgent statement on public procurement and how it can serve the common good. My constituency in Lincolnshire is the food basket of Britain, making products that fill shelves and shops across the country. We really do need to use public money to buy British and back Britain.
Well, I couldn't agree with my right honourable friend more. And there has been a huge focus in, as he knows, in our food strategy to ensure that we do that. And some of our colleagues have provided additional innovation through people being able to ensure that they are buying British produce when they are shopping at a supermarket and doing online shopping at a supermarket. I cannot promise him a statement, but I will ensure that the department has heard what he has said, and I thank him for being a champion for all things British and British produce and supporting our farmers in particular.
Rachel Maskell.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. May I wish you a happy retirement from this place at least. I'm sure we'll see you in many other guises in times to come. Our constituents, we are so grateful for holding our feet to the fire and raising the concerns which they most have. Housing injustice has been the issue at the top of my constituents' list in York Central. However, the legislation to try and change the environment around housing does not seem to be progressing. So can the Leader of the House say exactly what's happening to the Renters Reform Bill, which would have a significant impact on my constituents, and also, after championing my bill on short-term holiday lets, what is happening to the regulations to ensure that we put controls around Airbnbs and other short-term holiday lets, because those regulations were promised by this summer, and of course as we enter the holiday season we are seeing 2,000 properties in my city being used for holidays as opposed to family homes.
Leader of the House. Well, the Honourable Lady raises some very important legislation, and she knows that it will be part of the negotiations that are going on, and I hope to be able to update her soon. With regard to the specifics on the regulations, I will ask the department to provide an update to her office, just so she can know where they are in the process.
Sir Conor Burns.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. May I associate myself with my earlier remarks to you about your pending retirement? Madam Deputy Speaker, I have always, since I first rose from this very spot 14 years ago, tried to champion my constituency in this place. The impending dissolution brings to mind unfinished business. And in that light, can I raise, with my right honourable friend, the Leader of the House again, the tragic and brutal murder of young Thomas Roberts on the Old Christchurch Road in my constituency just over 2.5 years ago. The perpetrator of that murder should never have been in the United Kingdom. He is now rightly behind bars serving life. He lied about his age. He said he was 14. He was in fact 18, and he was placed in a secondary school in my constituency. He was reported to social services and the police. Little action was taken. There is a litany of failure of public institutions that led to that senseless and needless murder 2.5 years ago. Madam Deputy Speaker, the Minister for the Home Office, replying to an adjournment debate, told me he could not go into the detail while an investigation was proceeding by the Home Office. Twice now the Home Office have refused to publish even the headline findings of that inquiry that they commissioned. I spoke recently to Thomas's father, Philip, who does not understand why it is internal processes that are stopping the Home Office bringing into the public domain the findings of that report, what lessons have been learned, what individuals are going to be held to account. Even at 10 minutes to midnight in this Parliament, can my right honourable friend, the Leader, think of any mechanism to draw this to the attention of the Home Office? And I hope that I and other members will not let this go in the next Parliament.
Leader of the House.
Well, can I thank my right honourable friend for all the work that he is doing on behalf of Thomas and his family. This was a tragic situation, layer on layer of failure, which led to this appalling outcome. I will write and get in touch with the Home Office following this session of business questions and ask that a minister or a senior official update the honourable gentleman on the situation that he is inquiring about, and I will do all I can in the remainder of this Parliament to help the honourable gentleman make progress on this extremely important matter that I know is necessary to bring some comfort to Thomas's family.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I take this opportunity to wish you well for the future. Could I raise with the Leader of the House the question of the Global Ocean Treaty, the papers of which were laid before Parliament a year ago to ensure ratification of this treaty, which would bring about a protection of 30% of the world's oceans by 2030. This is supported by all parties in the House, obviously including the government in that, and that this legislation could go through very quickly. It could go through in the wash-up, which would mean that we would then join other nations that have ratified the treaty, helping to bring it into international law. This would be a step towards reducing the levels of pollution in our oceans, and also an opportunity to say thank you to the many environmental groups, including Greenpeace, that have done so much to campaign to ensure this treaty comes about, but also campaigning against the levels of pollution into our oceans from our own privatised water companies that pour far too much sewage into the sea. Can she give us some hope that this could be done quickly during the wash-up period in order to hasten the progress on protecting the world's oceans?
Leader of the House.
Well, this is a matter very close to my heart. My own campaign staff founded the Conservative Friends of the Ocean and have campaigned on this issue particularly. What is needed to make sure that our rivers and seas are clean is obviously a massive investment in infrastructure. The largest investment in infrastructure and the largest infrastructure project of its kind in the world. That is what is taking place in the United Kingdom, and it is taking place because of this Conservative government. And in short order, we will have eradicated storm overflows, and the public can follow this. It's being tracked on UK Water's website. You can see how all these projects are underway and are contributing to that. I will certainly make sure that his concerns have been heard. I don't think that this is necessary to be part of the wash-up now, but it clearly will be an issue for the new Parliament, and I shall make sure that people have heard what he has said.
Before I hand over to the Chairman of Ways and Means, could I thank Honourable and Right Honourable members for the very kind words they've said during this business statement. It will obviously be my last business statement that I'll be in the chair for. It's always a highlight of the week to see colleagues raising a dizzying array of subjects on behalf of their constituents, and a great opportunity for them to pursue the causes in which they believe. So thank you very much for everything that you've said, and particularly thank those colleagues who have praised our very hard-working staff members in the House. Thank you. Who's next? This side, I would go. Maybe Jason.
Say, and it's allow me to say, and it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from her. Point of order, sir.
Madam Deputy Speaker, before you took the chair, numerous members paid tribute to Madam Deputy Speaker. I have been looking at the Twitter machine, which wouldn't have been allowed when I was first elected to this place, from my place, and I have seen that you, Madam Deputy Speaker, have also announced that you are leaving the House of Commons when we dissolve. May I just be the first to wish you all happiness and success, and thank you for your many, many years of service to this Parliament.
Thank you very much indeed. I won't say too much in reply, lest the tears come back to my eyes again. Madam Deputy Speaker and I have carried out quite a double act these last few years, and I will miss all of you and Madam Deputy Speaker very much indeed. Thank you. Point of order, Marion Fellows.
I feel it is incumbent on me to say there is nothing like a dame. I am very grateful to both of you in a personal regard, because you have always, I think, helped me enormously, mainly in your sense of style. And I hope that the House will continue to benefit from your legacy in that regard.
Thank you very much. I suppose it could be said, you know, what's worse than encountering a Dane, encountering two Danes together? Point of order, sir.
Mr. Speaker, as a fellow Doncaster MP, I think it's only right and proper that I send thanks to Madam Deputy Speaker, the Right Honourable Member from Doncaster Central, for all her hard work. I know it has been very much appreciated. I know it must have been quite difficult sometimes listening to a Conservative Member of Parliament, but she's been nothing but professional and fair throughout her time in that chair while I've been in this place. So I thank her on my behalf and all the people of Doncaster.
Thank you. That's very nice. Point of order, Sir John Hayes.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Yesterday in the House, every single member was moved by the account of the member for South Barnet and the extraordinary challenges he faced, and he's overcome them. But many members of this House face extraordinary challenges, including with their health. And they're often invisible, known to us but not known beyond this place. You, Madam Deputy Speaker, have been a model for someone who's faced such challenges, overcome them, and returned to this House to preside with dignity and grace. It has been a great pleasure for me to be in this House for the whole time you've been here. I'm hoping to continue, and I hope I can follow your example as I do so.
I have to say thank you very much indeed to Sir John, my dear friend of 27 years. Doesn't time fly when you're enjoying yourself? Point of order, Jim Shannon.
Madam Deputy Speaker, can I also add my thanks to you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and to the other Madam Deputy Speaker. You've always been enormously kind to me in this House. I know I'm quite eager to make a contribution, and you've always done your best to ensure that that happens. I suspect, following my language and the way I speak at 100 miles an hour, it may not always be possible to know exactly what the words may be. But I know that in you, Madam Deputy Speaker, that you had an understanding through our Gaelic cousins that we are. You're Scottish and I'm Northern Irish, and we have that interest. I also say I'm very pleased, Madam Deputy Speaker, when I found out that you were a Rangers supporter as well. Now, next year will be our year, and we hope that will be a year that we'll remember more than most. To you, Madam Deputy Speaker, I will miss you, and I'll miss the other Madam Deputy Speaker. And thank you for keeping me right. Thank you for telling me off the odd time as well. I probably needed it. But thank you very much.
The Honourable Gentleman speaks in this House more than anyone. Possibly more than everyone else put together. But it's always a pleasure to hear what he says. And I thank him very much for his kind comments. I think I'd better not take any further points of order, lest we deflect from the business statement and the work that the Leader of the House has to do. So I will pass on to Bob Blackman.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can I pay tribute to you and Dame Rosie for your service to this House? It's been long and very valuable. Whilst colleagues, of course, are asking for items to be dealt with in the wash-up, can I give a big push to my private member's bill, the Zoological Society of London bill, which is going through. It's in the Lords. It had an unopposed second reading. It was unopposed in this place and unamended. And if we could get on the statute book, everyone would be grateful. Now, as we approach the July the 4th election, it is fair to say that the voters of this country have a choice. And of course, in exercising that choice, they can look to where Labour have been in power in Wales, and a disaster, the SNP in Scotland, another disaster, but we in London can look even closer to what it's been like to live under a Labour Mayor of London. With his disasters, I could go through a whole litany, but the latest ruse, of course, he wants to improve the air quality in London, and he's going to order buses, electric buses, from China, when suitable buses are available in this country and would provide jobs for people in this country. So could my honourable friend, right honourable friend, set out the choice that people have come July the 4th?
Leader of the House. Make sure that all those involved in Wash Up have heard what he has said about his own private bill. I know this is a very popular and well-supported bill, and I thank him for all the work that he has done on it. With regard to the other issue he raises and the Mayor of London's choice to purchase these things from China, I think that is consistent with Labour's policy towards green energy, the main beneficiary of which does appear to be China.
Kirsty Blackman.
Very much, Madam Deputy Speaker, and thank you to yourself and the other Madam Deputy Speaker, both of whom have generally dealt with my requests with pragmatism and kindness, unless I deserved otherwise. I would like to ask the Leader of the House about the media bill. The media bill was really well supported across this House. It's not perfect, but a huge number of people did a huge amount of work in order to get that through. The government's timetable on it was incredibly tight for committee stage, and all members pulled together in order to work incredibly hard for that. Today we've had a letter from, among others, those in charge of Channel 4, BBC, STV and MJ Alba, making clear the importance of this bill. The previous media bill that was passed when teletext was still cutting edge. So we really do need this media bill to go through, and I would just urge her in those discussions around Wash Up to ensure that the importance for organisations, particularly for those working in broadcast media, that this is really stressed, and that I believe that there is a significant level of cross-party support for the media bill, particularly when it comes to both broadcasting and the the on-demand radio services, for example.
Leader of the House. For raising this. It is a very important bill, and I know that a huge amount of work has been done by people from all sides of this House. It was awaiting House of Lords report. I can't tell her at the moment, but I hope that the House will soon be updated about all the bills that can be brought forward.
James Sunderland.
Madam Deputy Speaker, can I please wish you all the very best in your future life, and also thank the Leader, if I may, for her weekly feast of penny TV, which keeps many colleagues and constituents inspired and enthused every Thursday. Indeed. Would she please join with me in paying tribute to all of those who are leaving this place at the end of this Parliament, by agreeing with me that the privilege and the reality of serving in Westminster, contrary to popular opinion, are good people working together by consensus as a team, making the country a better place and doing the very best they can under huge pressure, working together.
Leader of the House.
Well, I thank my honourable friend for his kind words. All the issues that are raised in these sessions are very important, but morale is also important, and I hope that we have all in these sessions contributed to that. He is right. These sessions, I think, quite often show the best of this House, not just in this particular week, but in previous weeks as well. And I hope it encourages people to consider that they might be able to serve in this place.
Marion Fellows.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I would be remiss if I didn't thank members of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Post Offices for the huge support they've given me over my time as Chair. I want to especially thank the Honourable Member for East Antrim, the Member for Lord Durham North, who I don't think is actually a member, but has been a huge help and support to me during my time, and the Right Honourable Member for Orkney and Shetland. And I think the APPG on Post Offices was a prime example of cross-party working in this place. I could not possibly not mention the Lord Arbuthnot in the other place, who I see is still amending the Horizon Bill, or was trying to amend the Horizon Bill during its passage in that place. He introduced me to Sir Wyn Williams, who the chair of the inquiry, and I think all members, and especially myself, will be following closely what's happening. Paula Venables, the former CEO, has been questioned yesterday and today and tomorrow, and I think some of the things that are coming out today should make us all greet, because some of it is absolutely awful. I lost my fight in this place to have Scotland included in the Horizon Bill, but I'm sure it will go through, and it's included in the wash-up, and for that I am grateful. And to Scottish postmasters who were affected and have not yet been exonerated, I can assure them the bill is making its way through the Scottish Parliament, and as soon as it is officially passed in this Parliament, it will be done so there as well. But they may have to wait a day or two, because that's how Parliaments work. Can I thank the leader for help she's given me personally when I've been at her for every week on a certain topic? And can I just say that what's said in this place is not personal, and it never has been from my point of view.
Leader of the House. I thank the Honourable Lady for all the work that she has done, in particular on many issues, but in particular on the matter of the Post Office, and for getting her thanks to her colleagues on record today, amongst them chiefly my noble Lord Arbuthnot, who has been a fierce champion for all of those that fell victim to the Horizon scandal. She will know Scotland needed to legislate for this, and I'm glad that she's been able to get on record some comfort to those that may be watching about the time frame once this receives royal assent here and what will follow in Scotland. Can I thank her also for the fact that she has never played the man, always the ball. And I think that is very much appreciated by all members of this House. Dean Russell.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And may I say my deep sadness at hearing that you're no longer going to be in this place. You have been formidable, yet incredibly kind. And for me personally, a mentor and a friend. So thank you. And I feel very sad that you are moving on. I'll leave further remarks before I get teary myself for private. But on that note, would my right honourable friend please join me in also thanking Reverend Tony Rindle, the current Vicar of Watford, for his many years of service to our town of Watford before he moves on to new pastures in the coming months. He has been an incredible force for the town, a force for good, as one might imagine. And over the past year or so, I was fortunate to spend 48 hours with him where we shadowed each other. I spent time in St Mary's Church, seeing the work that he did there, and I brought him to Parliament, and we spent time here so he could see what I was doing here. And we realised the commonality between our sense of purpose to serve the community. He's been an incredible advocate for those who are vulnerable in our town, and made an incredibly considerable contribution to Watford, and will be sorely missed. So I hope my right honourable friend will join me in thanking him and wishing him well in his new role in the future. Thank you.
Leader of the House. The whole House would join with what the honourable gentleman has said about the Reverend Tony, and we all wish him well. Jim Shannon.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can I first of all thank the Leader of the House for her very kind comments earlier on. Much appreciated. As the chair of the APPG for Freedom of Religious Belief, each week, Madam Deputy Speaker, as you know and as the Leader of the House know and others know in this House, I bring to the attention of the Leader of the House human rights issues and persecution across the world. In the APPG, we speak up for those with Christian faith, those with other faith and those with no faith. And it's really important to have that opportunity. And the Leader of the House always makes sure that the relevant minister is made aware of the issue. And I will probably always get a letter from the minister to reassure. And that makes me know that everything's happening. So I want to thank the Leader of the House very, very much for that. In this last opportunity to ask a question, if I could, in relation to the opportunity to speak today on the threat to religious diversity and inclusion in Nepal. Amidst political unrest in the country, many Hindu nationalists have been actively seeking radical governmental change which would lead to Nepal becoming a Hindu nationalist state. That means that those with Christian faith, those other ethnic minorities, will be persecuted, ostracised and discriminated against. So will the Leader of the House agree that it is His Majesty's Government's interest to take a firm stand against institutionalised religious or belief discrimination anywhere in the world, including in states privy to the UN Declaration of Human Rights, which Nepal has ratified? It's for those people every week I bring to the House the thing, and it's every week that the Leader of the House takes it to the next stage. Thank you.
Leader of the House.
Thank the honourable gentleman for his kind words and his very important question. This week will be no exception, and I will make sure that the Foreign Office have heard what he has said. It's an important relationship we have with Nepal, and we want to make sure that human rights are being upheld.
Where am I going? Jonathan Gullis.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. May I add my kind words to you as well, particularly, Madam Deputy Speaker, when you and the other Deputy Speakers and Mr Speaker have made sure when I've been overly zealous, I've got put down to the bottom of the list. And by being called before being at the very end, it seems that the penny has finally dropped on that front. But what I will say, Madam Deputy Speaker, is that we've had a lot of funding for Stoke-on-Trent North Kingston and Talking. It would be remiss of me to not have one more go at one more bid to make sure we can get one more important piece of funding for the great mother town of Bursland, where I've been working with Port Vale Football Club and Stoke-on-Trent College, where we want the Levelling Up Partnership Fund to be enacted in that great town. We want to see Sprosden Park get a new SEND playground, fenced with multi-sports field, cafe and classrooms for the Port Vale's exciting future England talents, such as Bailey Di Pepper, who's just been drafted into the England team for the under-17s at the Euros Championship, as well as an advanced skills centre at Stoke College's Bursland campus, equipping the next generation with the skills we need for the jobs and technology of the future. There's sadly not times for D-Luck questions, so I'm hoping that the Leader will write in her support to the relevant minister to say that this bid must be approved before we dissolve, and therefore the people of Bursland can get this long overdue investment in that great town.
Leader of the House.
Well, can I thank the honourable gentleman and congratulate him on all he has achieved for his constituency. He is an absolute champion, although, as we have established, not always a well-behaved one in this chamber. I will certainly make sure I will do all I can to assist him in getting something further, and it is a great credit to him that on the penultimate day of this Parliament he is still fighting for his constituents.
Anna Firth.
Madam Deputy Speaker, and thank you for your service and thank you for all the support that you've given me and I'm sure all new by-election candidates in this Parliament and before. Madam Deputy Speaker, the government has stood full square behind my vision to make the city of Southend safer, healthier and wealthier for all. Banning nitrous oxide, tackling zombie knives, £118 million for South Essex hospitals, and the first new clam fishery in the Thames estuary for centuries. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, can I ask the Leader, please, to put her shoulder full square behind the wheel to get the pet abduction bill in to wash up and onto our statute books? My number one mission, Madam Deputy Speaker, is to build on Sir David's legacy. The pet abduction bill is a big part of that. And I would like to end this Parliament as I began it by saying if we get the pet abduction bill onto the statute book, his light remains.
Leader of the House.
Well, can I thank the honourable lady and congratulate her for all that she has done for her constituency. I may have dreamt this, Madam Deputy Speaker, but I think the honourable lady has recently abseiled down something very tall, dressed as Wonder Woman. And I would like to suggest to her that she may wish to campaign over the next 6 weeks as Wonder Woman. I have some reluctance in doing that because I think she might actually go through with it. But she has done a huge amount for her constituency, and of course taking forward our David, our dear colleague, our late colleague's legacy on so many things, not just the status of Southend, the Music Man Project, and many other fantastic local organisations. This will be part of the negotiations that are going on, but many things that were in manifesto commitments with regard to animal welfare, we have managed to get over the line, and I will do my best to ensure that they all are. Thank you.
Richard Graham. Deputy Speaker, can I wish you and all colleagues who are either standing down voluntarily or advised to do so by our constituents very happy years outside this House. Madam Deputy Speaker, as I come towards the statutory end of 6 years as Chairman of the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, can I firstly thank our patron, Mr Speaker, for his support, and also for all fellow cross-party governors over the years for their help in promoting, supporting, shaping the strategy of this great British democracy organisation with wonderful staff from and in many countries around the world. Whatever our differences, we are all strong believers in democracy, and we should go on sharing our successes and failures around the world for decades to come. Yeah. Can I also highlight, Madam Deputy Speaker, for the Leader of the House, the importance of the Criminal Justice Bill, and not least the fact that spiking is in law for the first time ever if this bill goes through. And lastly, would my right honourable friend join me in offering her support, and perhaps everyone around the House could, for Gloucester Rugby's final tomorrow in the European Challenge Cup against the South African Hollywood Bets Sharks, and make sure that officials in DCMS and Sport England are working hard to resolve the issue of the COVID loans so that great British rugby clubs like Gloucester Rugby in their 151st year can go into next season financially secure. Yeah.
Leader of the House.
Well, can I thank the honourable gentleman for all the work that he has done over many years for the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, an organisation that we will all be familiar with, and indeed many members may have worked with to ensure that democracy is strong in many places around the world. We, of course, have an opportunity over the next few weeks to demonstrate how well elections can be done and how well we will conduct ourselves during the course of that election. And can I just assure him that I will make sure that those that need to have heard what he has said with regard to the Criminal Justice Bill, and I will also write to DCMS on his behalf with regard to the loans issue.
Neil O'Brien.
Madam Deputy Speaker, you have given great service to this House, and I alerted the other Madam Deputy Speaker to the fact that I would mention somebody else who has done that. We've just arrived at the point where Shirley Tavell in my team has been working for members of this House for 55 years. Wow. She has been working for the people of Harbour Road in Wigston since 1992. And like you, Madam Deputy Speaker, she is incredibly hardworking, and like you, she has a wonderful energy. So I thought I'd pay tribute to her in this House. Madam Deputy Speaker, will the Leader allow a debate on, and will she talk to the Department of Transport about the crucial issue of bridge closures during rail electrification works? Now, I lobbied for the extension of rail electrification through Harbour up to Wigston at an early stage. We're now getting the whole Midland Main Line electrified. It's a wonderful investment that will make the trains quieter, greener, cheaper, and also faster. It's a great thing. But the bridge closures during it have been disruptive. In Kibworth, I'm chasing the Network Rail about sorting out a massive puddle they've created at the end of the bridge. In Newton Lane, a bridge has been shut for far too long. I've had endless meetings, and it finally is opening next week. And most importantly, I organised a meeting about the lessons learned here. And the first place we need to learn those lessons is relating to Spy-on-Cop Bridge, a vital artery between Wigston and South Wigston in my constituency. The next stage of the electrification works will take the wires under that bridge. Network Rail are looking at different options. There are options that involve the bridge closing and potentially more expensive options that could keep it open. Will the Leader write to the Department of Transport? The project is currently ahead of schedule and under budget. Let's use some of that resource to do whatever it takes to stop that bridge from closing. It will be a disaster if it shuts. Will she please write to the Prime Minister and the Department of Transport about this so we do not shut Spy-on-Cop Bridge?
Leader of the House.
I will absolutely do what my honourable friend asks. I shall do that this afternoon and thank him for the diligence on which he is approaching this, even on the penultimate day of this Parliament for his constituents. And when he mentioned his colleague Shirley and her incredible decades of service to this House, there was an audible noise of support in acknowledging what a huge achievement and the depths of her duty to this place and his constituency.
Fiona Bruce.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and can I associate myself with the very justifiable compliments which have been paid to you for your work in this place. Would the leader be good enough to make representations for my private member's bill, the Special Envoy for Freedom of Religion or Belief Bill, to be included in the wash-up business to be considered tomorrow in the other place? The bill is fortunate to have strong support from government ministers, including the Foreign Secretary, being a manifesto commitment, and also during the progress and completion of its stages in this place, very strong cross-party support. Indeed, I believe I'm confident from every party, and in fact I don't know of a single member in this place who opposes this bill, its aim of which is to do good for the most disadvantaged and persecuted across the world. And so, can I thank all those who supported it, not forgetting, how could I, the Honourable Member for Strangford, for his enduring and heartfelt support, not only for this bill, but for all those across the world who suffer on account of their religion or belief. He truly is, and I hope will continue to be, a voice for the voiceless in this place.
Leader of the House.
Well, I will certainly make sure that those involved with the wash-up negotiations have heard what the Honourable Lady has said. I do understand how well supported this bill is, and can I take the opportunity to thank the Honourable Lady for all she has done in this Parliament to promote religious freedom, again with many members from across the House. She has done, not just this place, but many nations and many people around the world, a huge service.
Nick Fletcher.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. First, let me put on record my thanks to you. You were very kind to me when I first entered this place, and it's not been forgotten. I would also like to thank the member from Stone for his help over the last few years and all the years that he's put in this place. It's been the greatest honour standing representing the people for Doncaster, and I hope they will return me to represent the people of Doncaster East and the Isle of Axholme, which brings me to thank the Honourable Member for Brigg-and-Gore. Axholme is part of his seat at the moment, and when I speak to people on the doors, they speak very, very highly of him. So I would like to put on record my thanks and the thanks to him. I just want to ask the Deputy Speaker, the Leader of the House, if she does agree with me that Doncaster has been given huge amounts of money and huge support from this Conservative government, but the two things that I've campaigned on most are for a new hospital and for Doncaster Airport to be open again. So does she agree with me that the best way of achieving those two goals and forget people flying from Doncaster Airport once more is to elect a Conservative Member of Parliament to Doncaster East and the Isle of Axholme?
Leader of the House.
Well, I have many diligent colleagues, but I think the honourable gentleman is one of the most determined champions for his local community. I know that he managed to get the airport reopened and signed, I think it was a 125-year lease that was signed in March. He's got a new University Technical College which opened a few years ago, which I know is providing a new route for young people to keep them in education and providing them with an incredible start on very exciting careers. He's got new bus routes, he's sorted out fly tipping. I know personally how hard he has worked to get money into local high streets, and he's delivered tens of millions for local towns and levelling up projects and many, many more. I think that his constituents are in good hands, and I hope that he gets the opportunity to do much more for them, and I congratulate him on all he has done.
Holly Monby-Croft.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And may I add my voice to those of others across the House in thanking you for your service. My right honourable friend, the Leader of the House, may know that I have an interest in steel, and I'm pleased to tell her that after 4.5 years of hard work and support from this government, when I go home tomorrow, there will still be a steelworks in my hometown of Scunthorpe, and that steelworks will still be making the finest steel in the world. But she will know that negotiations are ongoing between industry and government for further support. Can she say anything in general terms about whether conversations continue between departments and industry over these coming weeks?
Leader of the House. Our party has long had an iron lady. It has a steel lady now, and I congratulate her on all her achievements, not just from which her constituents will benefit from, keeping that vital industry going, vital for the economic well-being of her constituents, but also the service she has done to the nation in retaining this incredibly important sovereign capability and the wider steel industry too. I will make sure that she gets an update on progress on the specific point that she raises. Of course, no new policy and decisions will be taken during the election period and PERDA, but of course our government is still going and will be looking out for her constituency's interests.
Paul Hull.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I will be the last Member of Parliament for Sedgefield. I hope to be the first Member of Parliament for Newton Aycliffe and Spennymoor. And like many colleagues, I'd like to give thanks to you and your colleagues for the welcome into this place. He's left his place now, but the member for Strangford is a perfect example of cross-party work and engaging with people, and I really thank him for that. Could I encourage any possible progress on the prison and media bill led by the member for South Ribble to restrict social media access in prisons, which would give some comfort to my constituent Zoe McGill, who sadly lost her son to knife crime? But could I, Madam Deputy Speaker, could I also say we've had strong and clear decisions and direction from the Prime Minister since he came to post, enabling the Leader of the House to manage business particularly well. Could I ask her how she thinks business questions would survive in the event of a Labour government? With the changes and the speed of change with Sir Keir changes his mind, we might need them daily.
Leader of the House.
Well, can I first of all congratulate my honourable friend for all that he has achieved for his current constituency, and hope he gets the opportunity to continue serving, because he does a fantastic job for his constituents and is one of the hardest working members in this place that I know. I thank him also for his kind words about working together on a cross-party basis. There is a lot of good that is done on that basis in this place. It quite often doesn't get a lot of attention, but I'm glad he's shined the spotlight on it this afternoon. He is right, the prospect of Labour at the helm at business questions is not one I want to contemplate, which is why I'm going to do everything I can in the next 6 weeks to ensure continuity on this side of the dispatch box.
Danny Kruger.
Madam Deputy Speaker, and my sincere thanks to you and to all members who are stepping down, and particularly to my great friend from Stone, to whom more than any other individual this country owes the restoration of parliamentary sovereignty, than which there can be no greater legacy for an MP. It's very good news that inflation is coming down, and particularly because of global energy prices. Business energy costs still remain high for many of our constituents, and I have one agricultural business in particular which is facing an extraordinary rise in the standing charges that it has to pay, having to pay £32,000 before it even starts to pay for electricity. The electricity cost itself will only be £12,000. A huge rise in standing charges. The government is commendably asking Ofgem to look at the impact of standing charges on household consumers. Can the Leader of the House ask the Secretary of State for Energy to convey to Ofgem the government's request that they also look at the impact on business standing charges?
Leader of the
I
House.
thank my honourable friend for raising this. I will certainly write, as he asks, to the department to get them to make that request for Ofgem, and just remind colleagues that clearly people will want to be continuing casework and support for constituents and businesses in their area. I know that Ofgem are particularly interested in the practices of individual suppliers as well, so I would encourage him to do that, and for as long as I can, I will be able to assist honourable members in doing that.
And the prize for patience and perseverance goes to Robin Miller.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and thank you for your kind and carefully chosen words to me at different times through this Parliament. They've been much appreciated. The contributions in this chamber over the last day or so have really given me cause to reflect that each of us owes our place here, perhaps not just to desire and effort, but actually to the mercy of God as well. Madam Deputy Speaker, when I grew up in North Wales, it was with an unspoken expectation that I would have to leave to find a job, to build a career, to make something of myself. But now, after 4 years, I can say that the Conservative MPs in North Wales have managed to secure a free port in Ynys Môn, an investment zone in Wrexham, both of which will bring new business, new technology and new jobs to North Wales. We've also secured £1 billion for investment in the North Coast, in the North Wales main line, which will connect families to each other, it will connect people to business, to more investment and even to public services across the border. And of course, yesterday, Madam Deputy Speaker, we heard that there will be a nuclear future in Wilver, which will bring thousands of jobs and the creation of green energy to North Wales. Does my right honourable friend agree with me, then, that given this record of the last 4 years of delivery for the people of North Wales, that young people in North Wales can now look to a future where they can develop the skills they need for the jobs they want, to build the homes and make the place for themselves that they deserve in North Wales?
Leader of the House.
Well, my honourable friend is absolutely right, and I congratulate him for the role he has played in securing the investment and opportunities for his constituents, but also wider Wales. In addition to the issues he raises, I know that he has brought in a long-term plan for towns of up to 20 million for his local area, 5 million, of course, on the agri-food launch pad. In addition to the rail investment, he mentions 2 new investment zones for Wales, as well as the extension of the existing zone project from 5 to 10 years, and an additional 111 million for round 3 levelling up projects, supporting a further 7 projects. Over 1.5 billion of levelling up funding has been allocated to Wales since the start of the current spending review. He has been involved in all of that. He is a huge champion for Wales and for his constituency, and I wish him good luck in the coming weeks.
Point of order, Lucy Powell.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. I just wanted to rise because when I spoke earlier in the debate, you hadn't announced that you were standing down, and so I didn't have the opportunity to thank you enormously for being such a wonderful Deputy Speaker. You are formidable, you are fair, and you offer this House a great deal of humour and good interjection. And you will have missed that I also said earlier, I very much respect your style, and you and myself, the leader, and the other Deputy Speaker, Madam Deputy Speaker, we all share a love for getting our hair done nicely, and so for that, I thank you very much for that inspiration.
A point of order, Leader of the House.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I too would also like to pay tribute to you and also give you immense thanks for being a wonderful colleague. People know you for many things. You're formidable in the chair. You are incredibly stylish and a generous individual. But there was one particular instance I want to share with honourable members. In the week of the late Queen's death, I had arrived on Monday as a junior trade minister with enough clothes for 4 days. As I live in Portsmouth, I do not have a home in London, and was unable to go back to Portsmouth, had no clothes to wear, let alone anything black. And it was thanks to Madam Deputy Speaker's initiative and kindness that I was dressed for the Accession Council. And her hairband in particular, I think, was a global viral sensation. And, but it is a good example of your care of all of us. Thank you also for being a role model for women in this place, and I wish you well.
Well, thank you very much indeed. The tears are definitely coming to my eyes now, and who would have known of our skills in millinery? But it's amazing what one turns one's hand to in this place, especially in an emergency. People see the tip of the iceberg. They have no idea how much is going on underneath. It's very difficult to leave a job that you love. And for me, being chairman of Ways and Means is the tip of my iceberg, the summit of my Everest, something like that. But as far as I'm concerned, it's the best job in the world, and it's very difficult to leave it. I'm also honoured to have served the people of Epping Forest for 27 years. Yes, thank you. I would like it to be thought that I was 20 when I started. It's not quite correct, but 27 years has flashed by, and it's very difficult. I guess that's why it took me until 1 o'clock today to tell people that I won't be coming back after the election, but the time comes when the right thing to do is to stand aside and to give others the opportunities that I have been so fortunate to have. I'm very touched by everything that everyone said today, and I will stop now in case the tears come. Thank you.